I'm too small a person to assess Atisha Dipankar. He was such a great scholar of Bengal. We are very proud of him as one of our earliest international scholars, because he traveled all the way from a very small village in Bengal to Nepal, and he went to Tibet. So I would not like to assess him, but definitely he played a great role in propagating Buddhism, and also he was a great scholar. There is a Atisha Dipankar Foundation which has started the Atisha Dipankar University. It is under the Bangladesh Private Universities Act, also with permission of the University Grants Commission. And there the idea of the foundation was to create a center of excellence on science and technology, with the ideals of the scholarly ideals of Atisha Dipankara. And also this Atisha Dipankara Foundation, they also give a gold medal every year to deserving students and scholars for their work in field of science and technology. I think Buddhism or true believers have often done this. He has been following, I think, the path of many great Buddhists, including Lord Buddha, in renouncing the royal privileges and comforts of their homes, and going in the search for enlightenment, in the search for how should I say, peace and the universal truth. And I think to a certain extent, I think he was successful, because we still remember him 2000 years after, or not 2000, almost 1500 years after his death. We still remember him, we still revere him, and we think that what he taught is still relevant today. In his home, in his hometown, in Bikrampur, there is a very beautiful temple, monastery has been built by the government of Bangladesh. It is a heritage site. And as I said, the Atisha Dipankar Foundation has been working to propagate his teachings and to uphold his ideals. And also right now there is a big an archaeological site has been discovered near his hometown, and the government is right now excavating that site to find out I think the palaces and his the period when he was born. And they are trying to find out more about his details, because for a certain period of time in history we also forgot that we had this glorious son. It happened all over the Indian subcontinent, I think. We forgot because of waves of different kinds of like Hinduism and Islamic invasions. We forgot our heritage to a certain extent. So we are rediscovering our scholar Atisha Dipankar. The perception of Bangladesh is that it's a poor, poverty-stricken country with lots of natural disasters, and there is always famine. But Bengal, traditionally, for 2000 years or more, Bengal used to be the richest province in the Indian subcontinent. And even during the period of pre-Mughal period also, Bengal was a very rich province, and traders and invaders and even the British, they were very keen to establish contact with Bengal. And we were one of the first parts of in the Indian subcontinent to be colonized and to be exploited. And it's the years of colonization and exploitation which has resulted in the impoverization of Bengal today. It may sound like a very political statement, but that's the truth. Fortunately, we are reviving Bengal. Our part of Bengal is coming back to its economic development, and we have left, I think, we have left behind the period of famines and poverty and moving ahead. It's not only Tantric Buddhism. I think all religions in our part of Bengal has been somehow slightly different from the mainstream religion, because even if you look at Hinduism practice in Bengal, in East Bengal particularly, we have Kali Puja and Durga Puja, which I have not seen in many other parts of India. Our version of Islam is a more inclusive. It's not the Islamic Wahhabism or the more puritanical form of Islam is not there. It's a more softer. We are very devout, but it does not mean that we have a very puritanical look of life. I think similarly that is why Tantrism also, Tantric Buddhism also developed, may have developed. It's one of my theories. I'm not an expert, but I feel it's something like that. Because we have a tradition of Lalon, mystic poets. We have Hason Raja, another mystic poet. So mysticism has played a big role in influencing us. So it may be one of the reasons. What I understand, it's absolutely my personal understanding. Sufism is, it's a more, how do we call it? It's not only, in Islam, you have the God is like without any form, and we pray directly to God. We don't go via anything. Sufism is also, it's a very, it's also something like, leaving aside your family and your comfort and going and trying to understand, reaching out to God in your own way, without any via medium, like not going through any religious teacher or anybody. You go directly and talk to God, something like that. It's you talking directly to your creator, and it's a more inclusive and a more soil based. I don't know if I am explaining it very clearly to you. It's more natural based, nature based. Like Buddhism in Bengal it's a continuing tradition. Buddhism in Bengal never died away. It never died out, or it was never completely abolished. It's a continuing practice. We have a very thriving Buddhist population. It's about it's more than 112 lakh, I would say. And we have beautiful Buddhist monuments, both historical, dating back to 3rd century, to the 7th century, 12th century, and also very modern Buddhist monuments. And we have them dotted all over the country. It's in the northwest of the country, in the center of the country also, as well as in the southeast, in the hill tracts region bordering Myanmar. So it's like Buddhism is there all over. And it may surprise you, but Buddha Purnima, the birthday of Lord Buddha, is a religious holiday in Bangladesh. It's a national holiday in Bangladesh, and the president always gives a reception on that occasion. I think Charyapada is a writing of songs of Buddhism. And for us, it's the first written script, the Bengali script, first example, concrete example of the Bengali writing script, the earliest examples, and that's how we link our Bengali language, linguistic tradition to the Charyapada. We identify with that the Charyapada is our earliest example of Buddhist, of Bangla writing. And interestingly, I think it is in the Royal Archives here. It was in the Royal Nepal Museum, and now it's in the Nepalese archives. And we have requested to see copies of it, because we also need to study it. I think Bengal was a very integral part of Ashoka's kingdom of Magadha. In Mahastangar, which is located in the northwest of our country, and they have found very early written examples of the Ashokan script, the Brahmi script, dating right back to the Ashokan period. And that proves that there was very close interaction between our part of Bengal during the Ashokan period. We were, I think, very much an integral part of Magadha. I don't think it was a misunderstanding as such. It is something, it's a phenomenon that happened all across the Indian subcontinent. When the first Muslims came to the subcontinent in early 8th century. And at that time, I think many temples may have been, how do you call that? Many, because they were in a hurry to construct mosques and other things, they may have used existing building materials to work on. So I don't think it is a misunderstanding, particularly focused on our part of Bengal. It happened all over the Indian subcontinent, I think. Yes, the Pala dynasty lasted for about 4 centuries, from the 7th to the 12th centuries. And I think Buddhism reached its peak in Bengal at that time, and it was a very democratic form of governance, I believe. Even though they were kings, I think the kings were elected democratically. And the Pala kingdom extended quite extensively, not only in Bengal, all the way to northern India. And it's very interesting for me also that at that time, when Buddhism was already dying out, it had already died out in many places of the rest of India. It was thriving in our part during the Pala dynasty. Again, a very too small a person to even talk about Lord Buddha. But you know, the message I understand of peace and harmony that was preached by Lord Buddha about you know, that there should not be any differences between people. I think that's a universal language. And regardless of what religion we believe in, whether you're Muslim or Christian or Hindu, I think this universal message will appeal to all of us, and it does appeal to all of us. Especially in this today's world, we need more peace. We need everybody to be more tolerant, and I think this is a very important message for all of us to understand. You know, basically all religions speak of peace. All religions speak of Dhamma, to be a good person, not to do any evil, not to harm others, not to be greedy, not to be ambitious, not to be sinful. Every religion, you know, even that is the core belief of Islam also. But somewhere, somehow, even all religions have a tendency to become, I wouldn't say perverted, but to, you know, somewhere we lose the way. And we use religion for not very religious purposes. I think it can happen to Buddhism also. It has happened in the past in Christianity. So, we need to, for all religions, I think we need to go back to our core beliefs of tolerance and understanding, and to stay away from the paths of sin and evil, and stay in the path of Dhamma, true Dhamma. Yes, because I think yoga is a very, it helps to take away your stress, and it's good to do some exercise, because nowadays we all have desk bound jobs. We are sitting in a desk all day in front of a computer. So, you need to have some movements, and yoga is, I think, very helpful because it helps to channelize, keep away stress. I have not gone for meditation as yet, but yoga is very helpful. Yes, the namaz of the Muslims. It is also, I think it is similar to meditation, because you are reciting some verses, you're focusing. Because as I mentioned before, for us, God has no form, formless. So when you are praying to some being you cannot see or hear, so you have to have a very deep concentration, and you have to follow some specific steps in the namaz. So I think that that also is a form of meditation, and if you truly focus during the namaz, it also brings you a sense of peace in your mind. Well, I'm very hopeful because when I first visited Lumbini, I saw that almost all the Buddhist countries have some monastery or a temple complex, temple there, in the birthplace of Lord Buddha. And I felt very sad because Bangladesh also has a big Buddhist community, and I thought we should also be represented there. So I requested the Lumbini Development Trust and the government of Nepal, and I'm very grateful that they have accepted the request of the government of Bangladesh, and they have granted in principle that they will be giving us a plot of land in Lumbini to construct a monastery and also a temple for the use of the Bangladeshi pilgrims and the monks. And our government is also very enthusiastic, the government of Bangladesh, and we hope to be able to start the project very soon. And I think it will be one of the crowning achievements of my tenure here, because it will be something permanent because Lumbini has existed for 2,500 years. So I hope this will also exist for the next 2,500 years. So it will be something very permanent. I'm always amazed at the welcoming attitude of the people of Nepal, regardless of their religion or caste or ethnic group, and the love that you always express for Bangladesh, and it's always a very humbling experience for me, and to be so welcomed and so loved, and it's a wonderful experience to be the ambassador of Bangladesh here, and to be able to work a little bit to strengthen the relations, the friendly relations, which dates back to centuries, to the time of Atisha Dipankara. Let's go back to him. All the way, in 12th century AD, he traveled from this place in Dhaka, traveled to Nepal so long ago, and he brought some knowledge of Bangladesh to Nepal, and so we need to base our relationship, those thousands of years of relationship, and we can take it forward. Oh yes, of course, it's a great experience. And as I was saying, during my first visit to Lumbini, I felt so much at peace. I don't know why. It was a very peaceful experience. And at that time, I was going through a personal loss. My father had just passed away. And I felt very relaxed and very peaceful for the first time in months. I felt very good.